How's it, everyone? Welcome back to episode 13 of our Portugal campaign. Episode 13, unlucky for some, particularly King Afonso. He's a sinner and he has been excommunicated from the Catholic Church. Now, overall, that presents some risks to our alliances, both with Aragon and with England. If I hover over this here, look at the opinion ranking, you can see that we have lost 100 opinion based on the fact that we have an excommunicated ruler. The main worry I have is, will England honour an alliance if Castile decide to go to war with us? Castile now have an excommunicated ruler, Casus Belli, which gives them a massive discount to any war that they declare on us. So we are in a very vulnerable position right now, and I'm a bit concerned. So let's get on with the episode. I'm going to improve relations with England and improve relations with Aragon. I'm just going to try and support or fortify our relationships, because without them we are cooked. So our main focus has to be expanding our army and our navy. It really does, because every time something alarming is happening, I then panic and realise we're not strong enough to defend ourselves. So we really need to spend a bit of time, spend a bit of money on improving our defensive capability, and then we will feel much more secure against Castile. Okay, we've improved with England as much as possible, and so far so good. Castile are still okay with holding the peace. You can see they really despise us now though. So I think any easy opportunity and they will come for us. Okay, we'll use this chance to build a few ships. So we'll build 4 more light ships. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just continue getting our navy up to scratch. And we do need to increase the rate at which we're recruiting manpower. So we'll build another 1, 2 armories in our biggest cities. Don't really have loads of soldiers, so it'll take a little while to employ. Oh, our wife died, Elizabeth. She committed suicide, Jesus. We've colonised our first province in the Canaries, Maxorata. The population is already quite high, so we can't build a settlement because there's an existing indigenous population. But what we can do is build a market village to try and connect it to the Faz market in this case. Slipping standards. Our use of naval fighting instruction has allowed us to put up fearsome blockades of enemy coasts, but at the moment our sailors are just getting a bit lazy. God, what a hit. So the options are basically to take a huge hit to our blockade efficiency, which we just cannot allow given the volatility that we're facing with a potential war. So we are just going to have to take a stability smack in the face. We've got the university, so this is fantastic. We're going to try and get a few of these up and running. And we've also got a new law that we can pass, education of the elites. So with respect to that law, it's a toss-up really between education of the people and mixed institutions. Oh no, Jacques d'Artois is dead. The drawback with education of the people is that it is going to impact the nobility's satisfaction equilibrium, but I do like it more because it's better literacy for everyone. So let's go for it. Knowledge and education are 2 of the most enriching aspects in anyone's life, and therefore the state must ensure our people have access to both. We are all born with free will and free thought, and it is the state's duty to preserve these natural rights, which are held by all our people. And then in terms of research, we'll go for aristocracy, because this unlocks a better levy from our nobles, so 10% of plated knights, which seem to be quite good. So, aristocracy is a key part of any monarchy, as the nobles surrounding the royal dynasty are precisely what gives justification to the monarch. In the end, the concept of royal blood cannot exist without the corresponding concept of noble blood. As such, the aristocracy supports the monarch, but they expect to have some privileges in exchange for their loyalty, as they must never be confused with the common rabble. So we need to pick a new general for our fleet, and we'll carry on with the d'Artois lineage. So we'll stick Jehan in as our new naval officer. So you may have noticed we have a 5th estate now, the tribes. That's because we've got our first colony here in the Canaries, and there are actually tribes people. I don't really know what we'll be able to do with them just yet, but as the game develops we'll try and basically assimilate them into our population. Okay, now 4 ships are done, so we will probably bring them over to the Canaries so that they can start increasing the maritime presence here. It's improved opinion with the Papal States. and see if we can maybe get them to lift the excommunication order on Afonso. We finally got enough levies and money to get the next set of men-at-arms, so we'll get them here in Evora, sorry. We'll stick them alongside our main army, and we finally have a full front. It's a very small, weak front, but it is a full 3-front army. Unhappiness among the commoners. Conflicts and protests with the commoners over taxes, landlord cruelty, expropriation, serfdom and custom policies have recently become even more frequent than usual. If we do not manage to solve the problems soon, the consequences for our nation's stability could be dire. I can't afford the 125, so we rule as we see fit. The good news, however, is that we do have a parliament session, so we can use that to improve their opinion quite swiftly. On reflection, I think our best option is to expand our armory here, because we get 2 cheaper armories, we get 50% manpower whilst it's being debated, and obviously we have a bit of a defensive focus at the moment, so shame to give up on the gravel road network, but I think it's a price worth paying at the moment. Fogo is done in Cape Verde, so same story, settlement, market village. So the Canaries are in the Faz market, and that means we need to try and strengthen our position within the market. We are 5th out of 11 countries, so we need to try and bolster that. And we do that by building overseas trading posts. So I don't know how much of an impact each specific location will make. Funnily enough, we can build it in the Canaries. We're not going to do that because I think they'll disappear. But let's build one here in Ceuta or Sabta, Tanja, and we'll do one more in Almamura. Let's give the burghers a new marketplace, or a market village I suppose, to get this government policy over the line. We've had an event as well. The burghers of Coimbra. The Cortes Gerais members of Coimbra hold an influential position as they represent one of our economic centres. Their wealth holds much sway, and unfortunately they use it to lobby against current affairs. That's annoying, but we've lost 5 tech. We've got aristocracy, which is great, so we can move to a new technology. I'm thinking rag paper. Rag paper made from cotton, unfit to be processed or otherwise used, set new standards for quality and durability. It's a new production method, and it will basically decrease the cost of our books and so on, and then we'll jump back to military focused techs. Naturally, we'll start spying on Castile yet again. The Parliament has accepted. It's actually put us into debt. I made a slight mistake by overspending a bit of money, but it should be fine. Somehow we still have a shortage of wild game. So I don't actually know how it's possible. We'll build another one in Torres Novas and one in Avis. Alright, let's pay off this loan. The levee. In time, many of the everyday occurrences in the life of King Afonso de Borgoña and his predecessors have become the subject of a ceremony. Being able to attend the bedroom of the king as he dresses, for instance, is considered by many to be the best way to gain his ear. An elaborate court life will certainly limit the power of our nobility to plot against us in the countryside properties, but it could also prove to be quite expensive. Entirely denying them the right to be part of the daily life of our king, on the other hand, would limit their influence, but the nobility would likely resent it. Basically, it's giving us an option to give them an estate privilege. Now, to be honest, this was one that I was probably looking to give them anyway, so I think we can give it to them, because failure to do so would really irritate them and then it would cause a bit of instability. So let's just give it to them. Gets extra cultural influence. It slightly increases the cost of our court, but I don't think by an enormous amount. This is also a pretext to me trying to get rid of one of these. Yeah, this one, land rights. I really want to try and get rid of land rights, but it's so expensive in terms of stability. But it pushes us land, which we don't want, aristocracy, which we don't want, serfdom, don't really mind. Burghers are going absolutely mental, building roads everywhere. I'm not unhappy about it. It's just kind of crazy. Cool, so we've got rag paper, and funnily enough, I was just looking at the Spinners Guild as well. So let's have a quick peek at how this is likely to impact everything. Yeah, look, so it's already more profitable, and we can produce cloth, whereas fiber crops is hard to achieve. We've also had an exceptional year. We've read this before. It gives us 3 options: 7 stability, 250 gold, 5 research progress. That's a tough one. I think we'll take the gold, because it's always nice to be rich. Yeah, so spinners guilds have become significantly more profitable overnight because we're using them for paper. Can't build any there. We can do 1 in Faro, 1 in Lisbon, 1 in Viseu. I think that's okay. Research wise, we're going to go for the dock. It's a very important building for our naval focus. As it says here, a dock is the most basic shore infrastructure that allows for the building and repairing of boats. Most importantly, however, gives us a huge amount of sailors, so we'll be able to crunch out these ships. Okay, I very rarely have this much money, so I'll build a counting house in Santarém. So this should help to improve our overall tax base, but we'll see once it's built. So I think what I might do is get Dinis settling tribesmen into peasants. I was just having a look, and it might show it here. Look, yeah, so tribesmen cannot convert or assimilate into our population, so they're always just going to be a bit unhappy to be under Portuguese rule, whereas obviously peasants, on the other hand, do convert. Firearms and weapons are really expensive, so we need to improve, or rather reduce, the cost of these goods by increasing our supply. I'm trying to spread things out, but Lisbon just generally is the best place to build things. So we'll build 2 levels in Lisbon and 1 in Porto. And then in terms of the weapons, I've spent all my money. Well, next month we'll put 1 in Coimbra and 1 in Viana. Those are the next 2 we'll do. Ooh, the colony of Cape Verde. The charter we founded to colonize Cape Verde has now fulfilled its role, and it has become a fully functional colony. Now we need to decide how we wish to handle this territory. So we could, which we won't do, but we could basically just start playing as Cape Verde. I think what we'll probably do is form a colonial subject. We'll make a new country, because they're too far away for us to actually exert any influence over them. So if we form a colonial subject, we get a free town, we get a few bits of basic industry, and then we'll have our own vassal as well. You can see here they have loyalty of 51%. So over time, we're probably now going to need to start thinking about shifting a little bit away from centralization, which is ironic. Oh, I see here the casus belli for the excommunication is only a couple more months, so I think we've probably squeaked out of it without any issues. Don't want to speak too soon though. Cool, so we'll let them crack on a little bit, and then we'll check back in with them later, see how they're getting on, see how big Luis is handling his new responsibilities. Right, we'll build 2 weaponsmiths in the best production efficiency places. It's not massively beneficial by way of economy, but this stacks over time. And so it's usually better to build it in the high production efficiencies. And of course, control-wise, we're going to try and generally improve the control everywhere in mainland Portugal. Travelling minstrels. A group of renowned minstrels recently crossed our nation's borders. Their intention is to roam the kingdom of Portugal's countryside, bringing joy to all who hear them. But some say only the ears of King Afonso are fit to hear such wonderful music. We had this, actually, funnily enough, with King Afonso IV way back when. Gosh, he's looking quite old now. And he's also a babbling buffoon. Good, very good. So we'll probably just take the estate satisfaction. We've obviously got max legitimacy, so... Iron has quickly become a very profitable good, so we'll bump up the production in Odamira. I think we've maxed it out in Feira now. No, we haven't. We'll do another one in Feira as well. Okay, cool. We've got the dock now, so we can start to improve our naval infrastructure. Before we do that, let's have a look at our next tech. I think we'll go for rights of the nobility, because we can go for this rural noble authority. Increases the equilibrium, which is good. Slightly increases their power, not so good. But reduces the cost of forts by about a ducat. I worked it out, so that's quite powerful. So we'll go for that first. The position of the nobility is not only reinforced by their privileges, but also by our laws. And we've had Fernando Lopez. Fernando Lopez has gained quite the fame in the court due to his talented skill at writing. In fact, he has produced many historical works for the future generations to study, and with his participation in many pivotal events of the Portuguese recent history, many are sure that he is the right man for the job of an archivist and a chronicler. It's very expensive, but I kind of like the idea of having someone who's a artist or something. We've only got one artist, and we haven't really paid for works of art or anything yet. So I think we'll probably... Oh gosh, it's a lot of prestige though. Okay, sod it. We'll pay the money. We can always earn the money back. So what has it done? We've got 2 artists. It says free to hire. I don't think we've done the tech that allows us to actually pay these people to do anything. So it's kind of pointless. So there's the loan for that artist that we can't even use. Okay, we'll enable scootage. I think that's how you pronounce that with Cape Verde. Basically what it does is it means that they don't have to join our wars, but they give us 20% extra income. So we can do that because they are not going to make any difference in our wars. Maybe we'll get a bit more money. Bringing in marriageable women. A pioneer colony is very much a man's place, but as a colony develops, we seek to grow less by emigration and more by the births of children. The colonial company responsible for the Portuguese colony of Canary Islands has arranged for a number of marriageable women, mostly widows, to travel to the colony to ensure that families are started. Okay, good. Strange event. Maritime presence is increasing across the board, still quite low in the Canaries, but to be expected as a fledgling colony. Let's build our very first dock. Well, technically second because there's one in Porto already, but that came with the territory. Let's build our very first dock in Porto.
Non-enforcement of ordinances. Although King Afonso issues many ordinances, his most faithful majesty is, in practice, almost powerless to enforce them. Instead, enforcement depends upon the local powers, regional nobility, and city governments that are not always as vigilant as we desire. Recently it has come to our attention that our authorities in the Canary Islands are being particularly reticent in enforcing the king's will. That's not good. We'll go for the extra control because it's obviously a new colony. It'll annoy the nobility a little bit, but state recovery is possible. It's made 0 difference because the average satisfaction is very low, so it's kind of a redundant decision there. Funnily enough, looking at the population satisfaction, our happiest people are our tribes people, so they're actually enjoying the fact that we've come over here. Okay, the main reason for the pop dissatisfaction is the different religion, which we can try and convert at some point, but I'm not that bothered about it for now. Need to try and increase the supply of books because it's still not enough. We seem to be constantly trying to read. I suppose it's coming with the fact that everyone's increasing their literacy. So we'll do 1 level in Lisbon, 1 level in Porto, 1 in Evora, and 1 in Viseu. And 1 in Viana as well. Why not? So we'll get a flood of book supply into our market now. Funnily enough, our colony has now got a loyalty of 49.99%, and because it's below 50, it makes them disloyal. So let's improve our opinion with them and immediately push them over. So Afonso's 57 now. I'm not going to lie, I could probably do with him dying. It's a horrible, treasonous thing to say, but his 2 traits are awful. The Sinner trait and the Babbling Buffoon trait are awful. I thought it was going to be so good when he started out with Midas touched, but unfortunately not. He's ended up being quite a diplomatic mess. This is going to be a really meaty trade. Look at this. Look at why are the French eating so many olives? Bloody hell. So yeah, we can definitely trade loads of this to the French. Oh, he's gone. Thank goodness for that. The Portuguese nation rejoiced as Afonso had finally died. How did he die? Fell down a set of stairs. That does not surprise me at all. Our friends will cherish this day. I think that's actually a nod to the fact that he was not liked. I'm not sure. Okay, cool. So, bye-bye, Afonso. King João ascends to the throne. Let's have a look at this chappie. So, very mediocre again. We have sort of moved away from the era of absolutely elite monarchs, but perhaps he will be useful. He's 40 years old. He's got no kids, and Joan is probably too old to have kids now. That's not good. Okay, we'll join an order of foreign chivalry. So we'll do Serbia, why not? So we'll join the Order of the Dragon. That's cool. It's actually given us a small positive uptick of prestige, which is pretty awesome. So Joao has ascended to the throne, and now we do not have a cabinet member. We only have one guy who's very, very bad, so we're not going to do that for now. And we've got rights of the nobility, so we can pick a new law for that perspective. You may have noticed I do have slave conversion as a different law as well, but I'm just sitting on my hands a little bit to make a decision on that because it's not too important right now. I think I'm going to go for rural noble authority. Increases their equilibrium a bit, gives them 5% power, which isn't ideal, reduces the cost of forts, which I'm most interested by. Yeah, I think that's the option because I don't want to strengthen them. I would like to curtail them, but then it blocks them from the cabinet, and basically all of our members are nobility, except for crown power members. So I think rural noble authority is what makes sense here. The aristocratic class is not an enemy to the government, but an extension of the central power. Giving them the right to rule over the rural areas while separating from national concerns ensures a distinct separation of roles in our government. So I've had a little think, and we're going to go for the first of its kind, the heavy early Carrack ship. Just because I want to have a strong navy, and getting our first heavy ships will be very good for defending our seas. The early Carrack was the first European vessel that could sail on the high seas of the Atlantic Ocean. The design of this late medieval ship combined the features of Germanic longships and Arabic merchantmen. It was less maneuverable than the caravel, but because of its larger size, it could carry provisions for long voyages, cargo for trade, and guns for self-defense. Do want to not neglect our, the Azores. So in Angra, specifically Angra because it's got the greatest harbour capacity, we'll start building this up a little bit more. We will get, that was an accident, we will do 2 more market villages. So it looks like there is enough people now to fully employ these locations. Well, Dinis has converted every single tribesman in the Canaries. Look at him go. His stats have gone up a little bit. This definitely wasn't gold before, so he's not too bad now. We've got some good admin support or admin power. That should help with increasing proximity. And what other benefits does it do? Makes advisors cheaper to hire. Buildings are cheaper. It's not bad at all. Okay, we've been waiting a little while, but we will now embrace meritocracy. It helps with overall research progress. If I show you here, you can see that it says here, number of embraced institutions 25%. So if we embrace another one, I'm hoping that will improve the growth. Doesn't say so, but I'm pretty sure it does. Individuals of great prestige and power often appoint those closest to them to particularly influential positions. The advent of meritocracy as an institution and thought movement was largely popular in the courts of China. Therefore, Confucius himself supported the notion that those who govern should do so on the basis of merit, not due to inherited status. This led to the replacement of the traditional Chinese aristocracy with one based solely on merit. The development of this institution would cause ripples across and beyond the borders of Asia, eventually reaching the royal courts of Europe, even those whose nobles had a crushing grasp on the mechanisms of power and authority. So we've embraced that now. There are some useful texts there. I was having a look through, but yeah, look, it's gone up to 30%. So we just get a flat 5% boost to our research. That was the main driver behind that because we've got loads of other things to research at the moment. Oh, we've had a historical event, the Treaty of Windsor. The matter of succession remains a concern for Portugal. The lack of a male heir may embolden neighbouring Castile to attempt to seize the Portuguese throne. Bloody hell. We must look north to ensure our survival as an independent kingdom by strengthening diplomatic ties with England. The treaty would secure international recognition of our dynasty as the undisputed rulers of Portugal. I mean, I've done all of that. The Treaty of Windsor was a historic agreement signed on 9th May 1386 between England and Portugal. The agreement furthered the exchange of trade, allowing merchants from both nations to conduct business more freely. Let's follow it. I think it's kind of not exactly aligned with where we are in the game because we already have an alliance with them. But let's do it and just see what happens. The King of England agrees to the proposed terms. That's good. Our attempts to secure a lasting treaty with England was a success. Both parties having signed the Treaty of Windsor. Surely this marks the beginning of a prosperous relationship between our two countries and ensures our survival as an independent kingdom. Bring out the port wine. Okay. Admiral worth his title. We're having all sorts of positive things come through now. An excellent naval officer has come to our attention, one who shows not only mastery of the art of war, but also the ability to pass on this knowledge to others. How should we make use of this remarkable talent? So we could basically either hire him as an admiral, or we could send him to the academy to teach. Let's bring him on board, why not? Matias de Arruda, welcome. And he can replace the main fleet, why not? So he's the new admiral of our navy. Our spy network is big enough. Let us steal some more maps. So where should we go? I kind of like the idea of doing Upper Guinea here so we can get closer to Mali. I want to try and build a relationship with this market because it seems like we've got lots of goods that the other one doesn't have. So we can hopefully do a bit of exchange. So let's go for Upper Guinea. And we've got the maps. We could even try and settle these little islands here. Bisagos. Should we do it? I don't know if we should do it. Okay, we've got the early Carrack, so we can probably look to build our first heavy ship in a minute. Oh, here's the Spanish, look. They've got the town of Arguin. Oh god, and England have asked us to join them in a war, so all of our priorities go off the table. We need to now help them with this war. First things first, let's have a look at this war. So, I mean, we're not going to need to support them at all, I don't think. They've got 300 men versus 15,000. Yeah, so despite us not needing to get involved, I think they're called Connaught, even though it's Connacht. Funnily enough, I've actually just come back from Roscommon. I was here and where was I? I was in Galway, actually. Anyways, what I think we should probably do is get our army and navy some experience. So we'll send them up here and we'll have a couple battles and just see if we can get some experience and try and improve the overall strength of our armies. Because if we look here, you can see there is an experience tab. So our army is quite experienced because we've been drilling them for ages. Our navy, however, is not. So let's see if we can get our military forces a little bit stronger. Okay, we'll go for the bark. So this is a upgrade on the light ship, but it gives better maritime presence. So that will be a good option. The bark was a small sailing ship originally used for trade. Adapting these for warfare provided a smaller and faster alternative to the larger carracks. Okay, let's get out of here. That was a mess. I was really struggling to get everything on board. So we'll bring them up here. Oh, here's a better way of seeing it. So these guys here. So we'll probably come and... I have no idea how you pronounce that. We'll land here at Murish. The one thing I know about Irish is it doesn't look at all like it's spelled, so I have no idea. Ooh, we've had another historical event. All eyes upon Sabta. This is historical as well. In order to establish a proper base in Maghreb, King Joao has been consulting the court as well as the war council. All ideas seem to align in conquering Sabta to accomplish that. We can go to war with Morocco and claim the rural settlement, but there stands a risk of humiliation on the battlefield. We shall go forth and conquer. Let's get the Casus Belli, and we can maybe have a look at taking Ceuta, which I think is this bit here. Help us to control the strait a little bit as well. We are a fair bit weaker than them, though. Although, I don't know if we are. We've got better troops. We've got a better navy. We just don't have as much levies, but levies are not so great compared to military units. Alright, our troops have landed now. Where the hell are we supposed to go? We need to get up to here. So let's bring them around here. Okay, we're here. We'll land at Sligo. Lacks access, we can't do it. So let's land at Dromahair. And we'll go into Sligo. Push these guys out so we can catch the navy when they come out. And we've occupied it. And we killed the navy. Battle of Donegal Bay. Cool, so we should now capture this next province. Anskrin, don't know how you pronounce that. And we've won another naval battle. Fantastic. That's probably our involvement over. We've had the rise of the Fuggers. Jacob Fugger. A family named Fugger from the mercantile patriciate of
Augsburg became one of the most prominent group of European bankers during the 15th and 16th century. Much of the European economy was controlled by them, and they ended up with a near monopoly of the copper market. Historically, they were very well connected with the House of Habsburg, whose rise to world power they finance. For fug's sake. Okay, the last province to capture is Roscommon, so we'll go in and support the siege, but other than that, our job is done. Meanwhile, we have a parliament. Now, I think we're going to go for expanding the gravel road network. We missed it last time because it wasn't the right time. We have a lot of money now, and obviously the discount. 20% to both this cost and also building time. So let's have a look here. What I want to do is I want to connect Feira to Porto. That's the first thing. And also, ideally, I want to connect Faro to our road network. And I think we'll also go for a longer route of Odemira, which is where our iron is, all the way up these non-connected provinces to Lisbon. That will just help with overall connection of our nation. Oh, we've completed a task here, Shape Society. So we get 5 satisfaction with nobility. We've got another one here, Shared Enrichment. So we get 5% production efficiency. That's fantastic. So we're almost here, I think. Gosh, we have to get them to 65 satisfaction. That's going to be very tough. And we need to have high employment in Lisbon. Let's see if we can do something about the employment. We'll get 2 more levels of paper and 2 levels of leather making. Huh. Interesting enough, so Simon de Vitre has died. He was the admiral of our Madeira fleet. And at the same time, his son, Philippe de Vitre, has ascended to 16, so we could probably replace one for the other. Like father, like son, Philippe is now the head of the Madeira fleet. Okay, and we've had an Influence of Lisboa event with respect to the Parliament session. The current debate in the Cortes Gerais on how to best protect domestic production has attracted the attention of many in Lisboa. This important position in the Cortes Gerais has come to support us in the debate, in the hope that it will benefit from the suggested policy. So we could get 5 support, or we could get 0.25 development. I'm going to go for the development under the hope that I can get this over the line by giving maybe naval support here. Let's do it. Let's give them naval support. João is craven. Ruins our army morale. That's brilliant. What is it with these terrible rulers? This war is completely over now. No troops on the opposing side. It's just this final fort that we need to completely siege and then it's over. God, and we've had absenteeism. Read this before, basically they're not turning up to the bloody parliament. So we could fine them and lose support but get money. Or we could, take 10 prestige hit. Tell you what, we'll find the worst offenders, get a bit of money for our troubles, and we'll increase opinion with the free city of Wetzlar to get us back to the right position. Cessation of church functions. Several members of the nobility have come before King João with a proposal. Desperate for more land and titles, they look with envy towards the clergy, who own considerable land. They ask that we transfer church land to them in return for a large cash contribution. Of course, in the long term, we would lose out on tax revenues from church lands in return for this short-term boost in revenue. Very importantly, the clergy pay no tax, so perhaps we could do that. We're going to do that. What do the clergy need earthly possessions for? Look at how much money we have. Okay, that recent influx of cash, I'm going to use that to do our first manual urbanization. Setúbal, I've had my eye on it for a while. We are going to found a town there. It's going to cost 300 ducats, but it's very close to Lisbon, obviously, so the control is good. The actual RGO fish isn't fantastic, so it's quite a good one, and obviously it's on the coast, and also there's good harbour capacity, so it is actually quite a good place to urbanize. And the siege is complete. I think we can probably bring these guys home now. Right, so the cost of leather's quite expensive, so let's build up our leather capacity a little bit. Lisbon is currently occupado building things, so where else could we go for? Beja has a really good production bonus, so we'll build 1 level there, 1 in Faro, 1 in Porto. Okay, we'll stick our nephew Fernando into the court just because he's young. He's not particularly good, but he's young enough that we probably won't have to replace him for a little while. Cool, we can ask England for money, so let's do that. Always take money where you can. I think another men-at-arms is pretty worthwhile, so we'll go here. Univora. Okay, we've got the bark. That's good. We can start upgrading some of our ships. Research-wise, we probably want to start going now for a artillery. Just because, for those who don't know, when you're in battle with someone, if you have artillery, you actually start the first phase, and the first 5 hours is an artillery bombardment phase. If you don't have any artillery, you just skip that phase entirely. So we probably want to get this. So we'll go for the cannon maker first. A guild specialised in crafting and assembling cannons. These powerful weapons are essential for sieges and defence. And then we'll go for the Hoofnies. It is believed modern howitzers have their name from the Hoofnies artillery developed by the Hussites in the 15th century. These short-barreled guns were mounted on wagons and used on the field of battle to fire balls and canisters in support of the infantry. And there's the end of the war. I don't think we get anything for it, annoyingly. It's a shame that we get nothing, but okay. Oh, we got a local fortification expert. So our local administrators in Porto Alegre have reported that the locals have some rather intriguing ideas on how to create better fortifications. However, they are reluctant to leave their hometown. So we could get fort building cost reduction across the empire, or just Porto Alegre gains 10% fortifications for 50 years. Let's go for that. Why not? Let's improve the Canaries a little bit. So we'll build 2 market villages in Tamaraceite, and we'll build 1 in Tedote. We'll sabotage Aragon's... Sorry, the other way around. We'll sabotage Castile's reputation with Aragon again. We might be able to isolate... Oh, Afonso de Borgoña. Cousin's dead. We'll sort that out in a second. We might be able to isolate Castile from Aragon. Let's do that as well. So now I think Castile is all on their own. Lonely boys. I think it's probably worth still continuing to increase the strength of our army. Now, armoured horsemen versus regular horsemen. I think we'll go for armoured horsemen. Regular horsemen are quite good because they can engage in the battle quite quickly, but because they take a lot more morale damage, they're more likely to flee. And I'm worried about the fact that we don't have a very large army. I'd rather them be more robust and resilient. We've had an event, the Portuguese ordinances. The complex web of canon, Roman and country laws is proving to be a peculiar issue for the governance of the kingdom. To combat such grave inefficiencies, King João set out to have a new collection and formalisation of laws created as the Portuguese ordinances. It would be copied thousands of times and distributed all over the state, providing for more efficient governance. So this is a government reform. Gives us 5% minimum tax, 20% reduction to change policy, 5% tax efficiency, 10% legislative efficiency. This is really good. So we could basically refuse it and get 12 stability, or we could go on with the reform, which we will obviously do. So does that just give us an extra government reform? Wow, that's fantastic. So it pushes us... I don't know how that will impact us having more reforms than we're allowed, but that's really, really good. We've also got enough money now to get another cavalry unit, which we will do. We've researched the cannon maker, so let's try and get a couple of them up soon. Oh god, and another temporary insanity moment. So what is he crap at? Probably go for military. Take a stability hit as well. And it makes our military stuff terrible, but whatever. Oh my god. Okay, this is pretty serious. We've had a call into the first war of Aragon's succession. Aragon call upon us to help them defend against Castile. Jesus, what do we do?